What's up, friends and family? Mitchell Chirac with the Liquid Culture here today on Pinot Noir Wednesday. We've got one from Oregon here today, which is the second bottle from Oregon we've got on Pinot Noir Wednesday, but this one comes from kind of that hardcore, well-known area of Oregon, the Willamette Valley, and is from a pretty well-regarded newer producer. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned.
The Liquid Culture.
Okay, guys, so today's bottle that we have, actually, I was really kind of made aware of in one of the Somm films on Netflix. Actually, I saw it in theaters in Dallas, and then I bought the Blu-ray. I don't know if I've ever watched it on Netflix, but anyways, neither here nor there. This is Lingua Franca, their 2016 AVNI Pinot Noir from the Willamette Valley. Great label art on all of their labels here. Love it. A whole portion of it's just for the piece of art there, and then the rest of the information is found on the other side. Again, Willamette Valley, very well known for producing Pinot Noir that can kind of mimic what you can find with Burgundy, which is kind of fun. I think there's a large misconception that Oregon and Burgundy, or at least Willamette Valley and Burgundy, are on the same latitude. They're actually not. Oregon is actually more in line with the latitude of Bordeaux. However, you still have a kind of very similar climate there in the Willamette Valley. Nice and cool, kind of foggy, dreary kind of environment there in the Willamette Valley. And a lot of the Pinot Noir that I have tasted from there is very Burgundian in style. You get a lot of very floral, savory, earthy characteristics out of your Pinot Noirs from Willamette Valley. They're not all perfect, and they can definitely be some that are more Burgundian and some that are more New World. But one of the cool things about the entire Willamette Valley is that the whole valley is very environmentally conscious. A lot of the vineyards there are farmed via biodynamic, or at the very least organic and sustainable practices. So that's really cool. And really, I just, I love the Pinots that I get out of Oregon. So let's talk a little bit about Lingua Franca. So Lingua Franca was started, really the whole process for Lingua Franca was started back in 2012 when Larry Stone purchased a large chunk of land that would eventually be planted to vines for what is now Lingua Franca. So Larry Stone, if you don't know, very high, a master sommelier that's held in very high esteem in the wine community. He worked in the kind of the restaurant side of the industry for a very long time, and still does, but actually had purchased, once he purchased this land, the intent was to purchase it to plant grapevines, because the terroir there was exceptional, the soils in that piece of land were exceptional, and had the intent of just purchasing or planting grapes for other wineries to purchase. Well, he ended up bringing some other folks on, and they had a different idea about actually producing wines themselves. So the consulting winemaker there is Dominique Lafont, who is from Burgundy, of Meursault fame. Domaine Lafont is, again, highly regarded domain in Burgundy. And then he brought on their actual, so he's consulting winemaker. Their winemaker is Thomas Savre, who has studied under Lafont, was at Evening Land Winery before coming over to Lingua Franca, and they're actually, funny enough, right next door to each other. So you've got a lot of talent, right? You've got a lot of people who know quite a bit about wine, who know how to make wine, who know about vineyard management, and so you would expect that with a powerhouse kind of team like that, that you're going to probably expect some pretty good wine. So still young, like I said, the land for this project was purchased in 2012. So I believe this 2016 AVNI was one of the first, if not the first, vintages of this bottle. And I think I mentioned earlier, this is kind of their entry level Pinot Noir. It's actually not from their estate. Vineyards. This fruit comes from neighboring vineyards in the Eola Amity Hills in the surrounding area. The grapes were about 35% whole cluster pressed, which you can definitely get on the nose. You can get some nice stemminess. Treated very, very delicately during the fermentation process. Very light kind of punch downs and manipulation of the skin contact with the juice. And then as far as aging is concerned, very minimal kind of oak influence into this wine. 20% new French oak, 80% used French oak. So let's go through our process here. Color is, kind of, again, most like all of these that we've tasted, right in line with what you expect from a Pinot Noir. Nice kind of transparent, light ruby color here. 2016. I think that for Oregon wine, this, you can kind of treat them a little bit like Burgundy wines, and that 2016 might be, a little young for this, but I don't think that by any stretch it shouldn't be drinking well, but definitely could probably go longer. We'll see once we taste it. But yeah, no real, signs of age on the color, which you would expect from a 2016. On the nose, like I mentioned before, there's a little stemmy characteristic, which I like. It's nice and floral, so like fresh cut flowers. Not one in particular jumping out. Maybe just like a combination of some nice fresh cut flowers that you would maybe, if you have like a cut flowers garden that you've got planted in your backyard, and you go out and trim up a variety of things to put in the vase. On the dinner table or something like that, something in that realm. And then the fruits, definitely red fruits. Nice kind of stemmy red fruits though. So I'm thinking like, wild strawberries that still have, some stem and some leaf left on them. Stemmy kind of red cherry. And then there's this almost like, there's a rocky, kind of soily component to it. Down here in the Texas Hill Country, a lot of the wineries down here, their roads are a little bit rustic, but those who choose to kind of upgrade them a little bit will use something like a crushed granite. And what this kind of smells like to me is that crushed granite kind of lays on almost like a soil foundation, and it can have big chunks of that granite, but a lot of very fine chunks of that granite as well. And when it rains, it almost kind of turns into a kind of mealy, almost soil kind of characteristic. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I just stepped out of my car onto a crushed granite kind of parking lot somewhere after it had just finished raining. It's a little wet and a little mealy kind of soil and rock kind of combination together. So no real earthiness to speak of, which is cool because I think that there's, a lot of other kind of fun floral and fruity things that are going on with this wine. I think that it could probably develop some tertiary earthy character with some age, but right now, very, very kind of young, vibrant, and fresh and fruity and floral. Pretty full on the palate. Real nice crunchy acidity. Lingering. We've got a lingerer here. Linger. It's nice and plush, juicy, crunchy acidity. Not a ton of tannin. There's no oak character on this wine really at all, both on the nose and on the palate. I would say that the cherry definitely comes through. The cherry strawberry comes through. Not a lot of the kind of floral stuff. Not a ton of the stemmy stuff. Really, all the stemmy floral stuff is kind of on the nose. On the palate, nice crunchy red fruits, even some kind of like cranberry coming in. So think about, cranberry, cherry, strawberry, raspberry. All those things really doing wonders on my palate right now. Very light, kind of like I was saying. The way that it tastes is what I was saying about how it smells. Very young, light, fresh, fruity, floral. That crunchy, juicy acidity I really like a lot. I'm thinking this drinks to me a lot like I would have expected. Entry level Pinot Noir from a well staffed wine company, winemakers, wine owners. Everybody involved, I'm sure, knows their stuff. You can tell that this wine was made with some heart and with some passion, and that it just is one of those that in their lineup that probably meets that nice, light, fruity, entry-level palate. And that's great. At $40, I mean, see, that's the thing about Pinot Noir these days, is it's become so popular, it's got such a big name, but it's also very tough to grow that, it's difficult to find really good, flavorful Pinot Noirs for, under $30, which this one kind of drinks to me like, but I kind of understand, supply, demand, and as well as the, the process that goes into making these wines. So I would love to taste a Lingua Franca, like maybe a higher end estate or single vineyard version of Lingua Franca, because if it's made with this kind of winemaking prowess and with this kind of love and passion from a little slightly better terroir with a little bit of age on it, I think that could be really something really, really special. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled for a higher end Lingua Franca just so that I can see what that's all about. But in terms of food pairing for this wine, I mean, I'm thinking like a nice little chill on this wine, and I could just rip this thing in the summertime, no problem. As far as food pairing, I'd put this one on the Thanksgiving dinner table for sure. We talk about that in these videos. So we have our Thanksgiving dinner table test and we have our duck test. I think that this one works for sure on the Thanksgiving dinner table at 40 bones. Throw it out there, see what people think. That red fruit component can almost act as your cranberry sauce, I think. With the duck pairing, I think, yeah, nice little seared duck breast. It doesn't have that kind of gamey thing that I normally look for with my Pinot that I'm going to do with duck, but I think that the red fruit kind of fun aspect going on would work with just a really simply grilled duck breast with some, it's got good acidity, so I mean, you could even pair some nice heavy starches with it if you want. I'm thinking Brussels sprouts for whatever reason are coming to mind. Seared duck breast with some Brussels sprouts, yeah. Seared duck breast with some roasted Brussels sprouts, and shit, let's throw some, I know it's not typical, but let's throw some mashed potatoes in there, how about it? Nice rich kind of meal with this light, fun, fruity, acid-driven lingerer that we've got right here. So I'd give it a look if you want to spend the 40 bones for a nice, fun, fresh, entry-level Pinot Noir. I would absolutely give this one a rec, and we'll catch you guys next time. Later.